guys, welcome back to my channel and to another weekend reading vlog. It's Memorial Day weekend here in the States, and what better time to have a readathon? Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads is hosting a mini contemporary-a-thon for the long weekend, and I'm so excited to participate. I literally can't choose my TBR, but I did buy 2 books from Barnes & Noble when I went and picked them up just before they started, so let me show them to you. So the first book I got is Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. All I know is that it's about 2 very gay boys who fall in love, and they're in high school, and that's it, and what else do you need? The art for this looks great, and I never read graphic novels, but like the art style is just great, and I'm so excited to test this out. And by test it out, I just mean like I don't really read graphic novels, so I'm excited to just dive into something new. And the other book I got is also to a new to me author, and that is Maybe This Time by Casey West. It's about a girl who works for a florist, and she keeps running into this guy who, he's either a chef or his dad's a chef, and he helps at all these events. And so I think through a summer they're each at 9 different events together, and I guess the premise is that maybe they'll fall in love at one of them. And from what I've heard about Casey West, that is highly likely. So I think both of those would be really great to have on my TBR this weekend for Contemporary-a-thon, and I'll update you guys soon. Good afternoon, BookTube. It is Saturday. I don't know what the date is. It's a Saturday before Memorial Day, and I have yet to read a single thing for Contemporary-a-thon. Now, I just found the audiobook of Maybe This Time by Casey West. Shout out to the Austin Public Library for letting people who don't live in Austin get library cards for them, because not only is their availability great, but their checkout time is like 21 days instead of 14, which, God bless America, okay? Thank you. Speaking of America, the Red Hats are congregating outside of my apartment complex right now, and it made walking Frankie a very, I wouldn't say a hostile situation, but very uncomfortable for sure. Texas obviously is very red, and people can believe whatever they want to believe, but these people seem like they're like 3 wrong words away from a mob, and that just made me really uncomfortable. And even though my neighborhood itself is in a very like white area, our complex and our neighboring complex are very black, brown, and queer. Like, I was honestly amazed. Like, several times I've walked Frankie around and I'm just like, oh, dope, there's an openly gay brown lesbian couple over there, or however people identify, but like, you can just like, people are queer. And I don't mean like, oh, you can tell by looking at them, because obviously I'm not dense. I've seen people with their partners talked to people because they want to meet Frankie or whatever, and then we're talking and it just comes up, whatever. Anyway, one of them definitely sent me a text message like, hey, you might want to delay walking Frankie, the Red Hats are having their little rally. And I was like, well, goddamn, okay. But we walked her for a little bit. She feels good back inside. And I don't know, that just made me very anxious. So now I don't really want to sit and read and not feel like I'm doing it with my hands. Like, I know holding a book, it's like you're turning a page or whatever, but it's just not as interactive enough. So I'm gonna listen to the audiobook and work on a crochet project. And yeah, I'll check in with you guys later. Hey guys, happy Sunday. I am, I think, halfway through Maybe This Time by Casey West. I don't know why I thought this was an adult novel and not YA, but it's definitely YA. And for me, like, I don't really care either way. It just helps me, I guess, be better about being critical about the writing, because this definitely reads like a YA novel. But I will say that it's very easy to get lost in, which I really appreciate. If you watched my last reading vlog, you know I had a really hard time getting into books that didn't just plop you in the story. And what I love about this is that it's set over 9 events over a year, and there's no in between. Like, you're in like a part, let's say part 1 is a wedding. You're in that wedding for 5-6 chapters, and then there's no after the wedding, 2 months between events. No, it's like that's over. Okay, next event. Okay, wedding was in February. Great. Now we're gonna do an event in June, and I really appreciate that because it just keeps the story moving. It kind of feels like I'm reading a Sarah Dessen novel, in that way where you're like, this isn't like the best thing I've ever read or like some masterpiece, but it's like one of those stories that you know what you're there for. You're there to enjoy the ride, see if these characters fall in love, and then move on to the next. And I just really appreciate that. Casey West to me feels like a, I guess, more modern version of like Sarah Dessen or any author you would think of if you were coming of age in the early 2000s. But she tackles some tough things. Like the main character, Sophie, her dad just disappeared on their family and moved to California. They're in Alabama, because he wanted to run a surf shack. I don't know, and he just bounced, you know. And her mom is kind of terrible. By kind of, I mean she's terrible. She keeps leaving her 10-year-old brother at these random events. Like, Sophie's working, but she doesn't count it as real work. And I'm like, the girl's getting a paycheck. That's work. What needs to be real about it? And so it's just, I don't know. I definitely feel for her there, as someone who also has a mom who doesn't really care about other people's time or needs. I definitely sympathize with her there. Definitely. So I'm going to keep going. I have a feeling I'll finish this morning, and I'll update you after.
My gosh. Okay. 8 of Hearts. 8 of Hearts. 8 of Hearts. I'm trying to think. I'm going to use my Goodreads to see if I have 8 in any titles. I know I've got 4 or 5, 2. Nope. I have a lot of books I've already read with 8.
Wonder Woman. Bill and Hillary Clinton. The falling evening had an edge to it, the temperature dropping quickly. Outside on the sidewalk, Pippi Longstocking walked hand in hand with the cat in the hat. The girl, schoolboy, had one tendril of dark blonde hair dangling from the back of the wig, and when she and the patrolman turned, Anne stepped back to let them pass in tight space. The young woman passed Anne first, and then the patrolman, and as they passed, the coarse fabric of the young man's uniform jacket.
Good morning and happy Memorial Day. It is the last day of the weekend edition of the contemporary-a-thon. I haven't read as much as I've wanted to, but I'm definitely enjoying everything I'm reading, and so I'll definitely take that as a win. So yesterday I finished Maybe This Time, or is it maybe next time? It's Maybe This Time, by Casey West, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't read YA in a long time, so it's kind of refreshing to have that after a bunch of like heavy adult reads. But even though it was YA, because it's not, or because it's focused on kids that are like looking at their next step, like graduating, it felt kind of like that transitional YA between YA and adult. I don't know, I just really enjoyed the story. I appreciated that Casey West didn't try to do too much with it. Like, nothing felt like it was being directed by her, if that makes sense. Like, you know, sometimes we read love stories and it feels like things are just super convenient, and it didn't really feel that way. Both Sophie and Andrew really had to work through some of their own issues and be vulnerable to share those, and seeing them do that and finally speak to each other, I don't know, it just didn't make anything feel convenient. So I definitely enjoyed that. I gave it 4 stars. And now I'm reading Ask Again Yes by, I think it's Mary Beth Keaton. I should know. It is Mary Beth Keane. This book is intense, but I can't stop listening to it. I thought I had a physical copy, but I definitely don't. I only have an audiobook, which is fine. But it's like raining outside, and I have my cup of coffee, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to sit down and read this, and I realized you don't have a physical copy. So I'm listening to the audiobook and crocheting a blanket right now. It's about these two families that kind of live parallel lives. The dads are both cops, met right out of the police academy. And the Gleasons are, the dad is Irish, mom's a New Yorker. They've moved to the suburbs, to have family. They've got 3 daughters. And then the Stanhopes, the dad's a New Yorker and the mom is Irish. And they have a son named Peter. And Peter and the Gleasons' youngest daughter, Kate, have literally been best friends since toddlers. And then something tragic happens. Peter's family moves away. And you just kind of follow the aftermath of that. And will they find each other again and fall in love? Do they not get to and everything separates? You don't know. And so you're just kind of following that. But it definitely deals with some really heavy topics. I'll say there's definitely some content warnings for undiagnosed mental health conditions and some, dangerous situations that can come with that. So if that's the kind of thing that, you can't read, do not pick this book up. But yeah, it's pretty good. I'm 60% of the way through right now, and I like that it's kind of you're following their entire lives, but not from the same perspectives. So the very beginning of the book, you kind of followed, I forget his name, but it's the Gleason dad, and then you followed Lena, his wife, and then you kind of follow Brian a little bit, and Peter and Kate, the kids, kind of going back and forth between their perspectives. And right now we're in Anne Stanhope, the Irish woman, in her point of view. So I'm interested to see whose point of view we get next. But each point of view kind of progresses in their lives. So yeah, it's been good so far, and I'll give you all an update later this afternoon. Hey guys, had to come back because this just showed up at my door from Book Depository. And I can't remember if The Switch by Beth O'Leary shipped first or The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Both of which are available in the UK, not in the US, except The Guest List was on Book of the Month, and I don't really know why. I think the pub date changed, but I was hoping this would get here earlier so I could read them for this readathon, but that's okay. Oh, heck yeah, it's The Switch by Beth O'Leary. She wrote The Flat Share, and it's probably the best romance I've ever read. It was very realistic and just wonderful, and the male lead was super supportive of the female lead kind of recovering from a very manipulative relationship prior to him, and it's just something I hadn't really seen in novels before, so I'm really excited to read this. This is a little different. There is a woman and her grandmother. See, the woman's name is Lena and her grandmother's name is Eileen. And they essentially swap houses for 2 months. So it says, ordered to take a 2-month sabbatical after blowing a big presentation at work, Lena escapes to her grandmother Eileen's house for some overdue rest. Newly single and about to turn 80, Eileen would like a second chance at love, but her tiny Yorkshire village doesn't offer many eligible gentlemen. So Lena proposes a solution, a 2-month swap. Eileen can live in London and look for love, and Lena will look after everything rural Yorkshire. But with a rabble of unruly OAPs to contend with, as well as the annoyingly perfect and distractingly handsome local school teacher, Lena learns that switching lives isn't straightforward. Back in London, Eileen is a huge hit with her new neighbors and with the online dating scene. But is her perfect match nearer to home than she first thought? So, I'm excited to not only to read this, but to see how Beth O'Leary handles Eileen's storyline. I love the idea of an 80-year-old woman finding love. That's just beautiful to me. And it's just a reminder that your life's not over until it's truly over. So I'm excited to see how she handles that. And I don't know if I'm going to start this now. I'm still in the middle of Ask Again, Yes. And it's just getting more intense, and I don't know that I want a super intense read right now. So I'll either start this, or the graphic novel I got on Friday. One of the two. I'm not sure which. I'll update you on that later. What's up, guys? Coming to you the day after the weekend reading vlog, just to recap. So I've read 3 books this weekend, 1 physical, 2 audio. So I read Maybe This Time by Casey West, and I gave that 4 stars. I read Ask Again Yes by Mary Beth Keane, and I gave that 5 stars. And then I read Animal Farm, and I gave that 4 stars. Very widespread things, and it just got more and more, I guess, cynical as the weekend went on. But I'm excited to add more like romancy fluff into my reading. I really enjoyed Casey West's writing. That was the first time I'd ever read her, and I actually have a Morgan Matson sitting on my shelf, and I've heard that they're very similar, so I think I might pick that up next. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of get into those like summary reads where you know, knock a book out in a day or two, and it's not, you know, super intense. It's just fun fluff, and that is its purpose, and I could use some of that. So I am gonna sign off until my next video. Bye.